Hello, everybody. This feels so weird because I'm redoing this because I completely botched the first fucking take. But welcome to Breaking Down the Breakdown. I almost forgot the name of my show. I was about to say this so you think you can dance. This is definitely not it. Even though the person behind the screen and behind the audio thing you're listening to right now, I bet is a great dancer. I mean, he's an amazing singer. So, I wish this is one of those things where I can hear him saying, maybe we'll do that after. But anyway, I just wanted to give a great warm welcome to the super special guest that we have. He is kicking off Pride Month for Breaking Down the Breakdown, and I could not have thought of a better person to do this than the absolutely gorgeous and handsome and wonderful. Honestly, he is one of the best looking men that I know in my life. And it's actually like, I'm scared to meet him because it's like, am I gonna be that intimidated in person? Anyway, this is Malloe. Malloe, hello.
Hi, thank you for having me on your show. I'm really excited, really stoked to be here. Can't wait to just get into the nitty gritty of it all.
Honestly, right? Now, Malloe here is a fellow streamer, but not just that. Malloe also is an amazing fashion designer, an amazing chef. Honestly, I can go on and on about this man. What else do you do? Can you tell us? Did I miss something?
What else do I do? Honestly, I can do a lot of things. The better question is, what can't I do?
Hey, that's it.
I'm
The
just
confidence. Give me some. I'm dead. No, but honestly, all kidding aside, Malloe is super talented, and I've been really blessed. I've gotten to know him for a year now, and it's just been fantastic. Never thought I would get this close to somebody online, so this is like one of those things where do online friendships work? I believe it does. But with that being said, today's topic is actually something that, a lot of people want to talk about but don't seem to know what the fuck they're talking about because it is different for every single person. But Malloe and I realized that there's a lot more to it. There are a lot of layers to this topic, and it is so important to talk about this now. And we are going to talk about relationships. And Malloe brought this up to me. And Malloe, can you just tell us again why you wanted to talk about it?
So as everybody knows, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of the 7-layer relationship dip.
Oh shit.
Because the truth of the matter is, it's a whole lot of shit to go through. And the reason I want to talk about it is because there's been a consistent and constant theme of people going through these difficulties in the first stages of a relationship. So I think talking about it and just discussing the intricacies of everything that goes on in the comings and goings of the beginning of a relationship or a budding romance.
I love that.
I think it's a great thing to talk about.
I love that. I am totally on board. And for me, I've only been... Okay, my question. How many relationships have you been in? Like super duper serious ones that you would consider super duper serious. The length don't matter, by the way.
Then I guess one.
Okay.
But even then, that one's... I don't even know if that one even qualifies, to be honest, regardless of the length.
Huh. What made you say that? Now, this is interesting. What makes you, quantify that as something that is actually not?
I think it's borderline only because, there was this... you've heard this story before. And you've told me how fucked up this situation was. I think you already know which one I'm going to touch on. But essentially, I was talking to this guy. We were dating, actively dating.
Yes.
He was my boyfriend for about 3 months. But once we hit that 3-month mark, and this was literally 5 years, going on 5 years in October, 5 years ago. He had this friend that would take him out to eat, take him to buy clothes, and this was like an everyday thing. And my gut instinct told me it wasn't just a friendship,
right?
Because what kind of friend buys you clothes and takes you out to eat every single day? So I wasn't okay with it, so I ended things. They got together a week later. 3 months later, they got married. So
Oh boy.
it's really... I've been through some shit. But that wasn't because of me. Like,
Right.
I wasn't the problem. It took me a while to comprehend that, but I figured out I was not the problem.
Of course. And, like, like, that is just,
That was a whole lot of bullshit.
I was gonna say. And how did you, okay, because for me, I guess it's like, the hardest part of this whole thing is how do you recover for something like that, right? Because sure, it's like only 3 months, whatever, but in those 3 months you got to know somebody. It hits different, right? Like, I hate it when people are like, how long you date for? Oh, a month. Oh, you can't possibly be that hurt. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Honestly, people think that because it was such a short time, like people think, oh, it was just a month, 2 months, it was just three
right.
months. I don't want to say scientifically speaking, but there has been research done on how soon somebody can fall in love with somebody.
Right.
They haven't been able to put a timestamp because, truthfully, somebody can fall in love at first sight.
Yep.
Somebody can fall in love within a month, 2 months, 3
Exactly.
months. It's something that can genuinely happen. There's no, oh, you have to wait a minimum of 6 months to 8 months.
Right.
If you're in love with somebody. No.
Completely
You can
agree.
fall in love within a fucking week if you wanted to. And people think that there has to be a time frame on falling in love. And if you fall in love before that set time frame or whatnot, that you're psycho. They put a lot of they want to put a lot of constrictions to make it seem like somebody's like crazy
I
if they fall in love
completely,
beforehand or if they don't fall in love within a certain time.
for me, it's like what you said. Like, I feel like we grew up on a generation that if you somehow end up feeling like, oh shit, like, I think I love this person and I've only met them today or, yesterday, that in society they look at you as, oh my god, you're so obsessed. It's like, how can you fall in love with someone? Like, what's wrong with you, right? That's the initial reaction everybody has. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like one of those things where, wouldn't it be healthier to just kind of ask the right questions? Kind of like, oh, what made you fall in love? What do you think, like, you have this strong connection? Is it one-sided kind of deal, right? Like, there's a lot of moving parts in relationships, especially with this. I think, especially being in the LGBT community, you know, it's hard.
That's a whole lot of baggage by itself,
It is.
to be honest.
We cannot, like, I'm sorry, and like, no shade to all my straight friends and all our allies. It's not about this, but it is not as simple. Like,
No.
right? Like, the way that we go about dating and finding our one true love, we have to not even kiss a lot of frogs. We gotta suck and fuck a lot of these fucking frogs before even realizing if this person wants a monogamous, non-open relationship with you. It's like, there's different stages. Unfortunately for gay men, queer men, bi men, like, trans men, like, it is, and not just men, like women as well. Like, if you are under the alphabet mafia, there is all these secret stages that you didn't even know existed. That it's as if this person just makes it up.
Yeah. Fucking facts. And what sucks is the biggest stage is the first one.
Yes. Oh my god.
The biggest stage is the first one, and that would be, a lot of people don't realize it, but the talking stage. Because
Yes.
unfortunately, and this doesn't just pertain to the alphabet mafia, it doesn't pertain to the gay community alone. It also pertains to cis straight people. Unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid of commitment. Or the idea of it, but not because we're genuinely afraid, but because, unfortunately, our parents, they had a fucked up generation. Like, let's
Yep.
be fucking honest. Like, I
Yep.
grew up with a single mom. So, like, for me personally, and this is something I had to learn on my own, I had to analyze this by myself without the help of a therapist, without the help of anybody. But I figured out that because of the way I grew up watching my mom and how she went about relationships, not that I'm trying to be like her, because that's, trust me, that's not the point. That's
Right.
not the case. Um, but the issue was she's very much an independent woman, a very independent person. So the way she approaches relationships is she don't need to talk to you every day. She doesn't need to see you every day. So when I'm in a relationship, or at least when I'm trying to be in one, unfortunately, I follow that pattern not because like I necessarily watched her, but a lot of it has to do with that as well. You
No,
know,
for
it's
sure.
something I saw being done, and she never had issues with her relationships, at least none that I was
Right.
aware of. So for me, it's like if we talk 3-4 times a week,
That's fine.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't I
Like
that's
it's
see that's
normalized
where
for you, you know, because this is
yes,
exactly what
it's
you grew up
normalized
on.
for me, but also what you encounter with that is the person that you're speaking to might want more reassurance from you.
Yeah.
They might want um more effort from you. They might possibly think you're not giving 100%, even
Right.
though something I did want to touch on, especially in this area, is your 100% isn't going to be somebody else's 100%.
Amen.
And by that I mean you can both be giving the same energy, but the energy doesn't have to equal. Like let's say you're full on giving all this energy, all this attention, but somebody else might not be like that because of their personality traits, because
Right.
of who they are as a person. So their 100% might be, texting you not as frequently as you do, but they're trying their best to respond within like a good time. Sometimes they fucking miss the mark. It happens. But it doesn't mean they're not giving you 100%. But
No, for sure.
also, a lot of people have this issue with figuring out what it is that they want.
Yes.
Don't even
Oh
get me started on
my
that.
god. Malloe, I'm telling
Um,
you.
it's definitely a struggle within the LGBTQIA plus
Plus,
community. I kind
yes.
of got myself lost in that.
I know me too. There's a lot of us, and I love it.
Um, but honestly, it's the first layer, the first stage is the hardest because a lot of people are afraid to let alone open themselves up.
Mhm.
So that's where that energy, that amount of effort goes into, and why I touched on that, because in that first stage, deciding whether you're going to continue talking to somebody or not because they're not texting you as much or they're not responding, that does not mean, if they're not responding as much as you or as fast as you, it doesn't mean that they don't like you as much. It
Amen.
doesn't
Oh my
mean
god.
that they don't want to try to date you. It doesn't mean any of that. But we're so reliant and dependent on getting a response within
Yeah.
a set time frame that if they don't message us, it ruins our whole day.
You know what it is,
And
Malloe?
then we start like, you know,
We
it's
start
a whole mess.
the spiral. You know, that whole. We
Yes.
start overthinking and we start to think that either A, oh my god, am I not good enough for them? Or B, why am I wasting my time on them?
Yes. And then we get into this, I don't want to say this high and mighty, but then we get into this headspace where like, oh, well, I deserve better.
Yes.
Well,
Oh my god.
I need this. I deserve that. And it's like, it's not that they're not giving you what you deserve. It's just
Right.
everybody has their way of approaching things. And unfortunately,
Exactly.
because somebody isn't giving us that, that really back to back, speeded up process that we want, we're ready to move the fuck on. Like it shouldn't work like that. We should be patient. Unfortunately, a lot of us have um unfortunately a lot of us have a problem with being patient. And that's because our generation, I'm sure a lot of you who have heard anything to do with marketing or have had some experience in it know that there's a saying about our generation.
Mm-hmm.
We want what we want when we want, how we want.
Right.
And that's where patience comes into question. We
My
lack it.
thing, right? My whole thing about this big thing that we're talking about right now is the fact that people don't realize, much in the same way that you grew up, looking at your mom's relationship, right? And understanding that, oh, maybe this is the norm. For a lot of us, the norm is what we had talked about, because that's what, I hate to say this, but that's what the movies that we watch, the shows that we watch, even, kind of like the friends that we have, it's what we're being taught, right? And there's a huge disconnect between getting what you deserve and having an understanding of people's capabilities, and having the understanding of putting forth and putting forward in terms of your priorities, understanding how an individual is different from you, especially if you're interested in them. And when that happens is we become self-centered, and we don't want to admit it, right? Because it's our world and these people are just living in it. We are the main characters of this show or this movie or this story, not understanding that we could also be the villain in somebody else's series. Like, these are things that we fail to talk about, and fail to think about, because we are so ingrained in the fact that
me,
exactly,
I.
my glow up comes with this and this being met, nothing less for me. And it's like, it's not even like these people are, it shouldn't be that these people are less than you. It's not like that. It's exactly what you said. What do you want?
Yeah, like, honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. It's very much, we don't realize that we could also be the villains of somebody else's story, somebody else's experience. I know personally I might have been for several.
Oh, same.
Because I was going through something, but the difference is I did my best to communicate what it is that I was going through at that time, and let them know that while it could have been something, it's just bad timing, but that's where I fucked up, and I acknowledged that.
Right.
And I couldn't apologize enough. But that's the difference. A lot of people don't acknowledge, and a lot of people don't apologize.
Right.
Which is how a lot of people end up in these fucked up situations, who have been hurt by other people before. Whether it's you dating another man, or whether you're dating a girl, like, the same shit happens with both genders. Whether it's with straight cis men and women, or whether it's with people part of the LGBTQIA plus community. Like, it's just there's no boundaries. It's not gender specific. It happens with everybody. If you're non-binary as well, like, it fucking happens. People don't know how to. Unfortunately, there are some people that don't know how to be decent human beings. But the fact of the matter is, when we're going through this process of, well, I deserve this, I deserve that, or I've put in so much effort. Yes, you deserve all these amazing things, and I'm not going to invalidate that. But you're forgetting the other person in the equation. It takes two to make four, or it takes two for something to work.
Right.
It's not just you plus zero. It's you plus zero equals one. It's just one. You.
I was about to say zero. Like, yep, there's
it's just you. Well, you know what they say, gays can't do math.
The math ain't mathin' for me anyways. That's
all. But the reality is, when we're in the talking stages, or when we're in the first stages of a budding relationship, with anybody for that matter, we just think of ourselves.
Yes.
So we're saying, well, I'm not getting the reciprocation that I need. It's not that you're not getting the reciprocation you need. You're not getting the reciprocation you want.
Yes.
Learn that difference.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting the reciprocation you want to see. But remember, everybody gives their own 100%. Just because your 100% is going all in, texting back really quick doesn't mean that's going to be somebody else's 100%.
Right.
Which goes back into you don't know that other person's current thought process.
Exactly.
You know, if you think that this person is losing interest, who's to say that they're thinking, oh my god, what if I text them again? Am I over texting? What if I
Yeah.
text too quick? Is this gonna be too fast?
Yeah, like
Are they gonna
you're
think I'm a
not
weirdo for
psychic and
texting
neither
quick?
are
Like
they.
you just have to let things be. Like
Yeah.
I think that's why for me, I don't know if I just approach relationships in just this very lax way, but for me, if you don't respond to me, then like you don't respond to me. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna break my back or cry over somebody if they're choosing not to respond. Like I have a perfect example. So there's this I hate to admit it, but there's this guy that I've been talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe about a week or two ago, I had sent a response because he had said he was going to museums. So I was like, oh, I really love museums.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places to go to. His response was simply a reaction to my text. I'm not going to respond to that. Like,
No.
if you can't carry the conversation, then like, the fuck?
They should create a reaction to a reaction just to be petty.
So I left it at that. I was like, okay, he didn't push send. So I left it at that. I'm not, whether I double text or not, truthfully, I don't care. It doesn't mean I'm not overthinking it.
Yes.
I'm so happy and fortunate to be in that mindset where I'm not overthinking whether I'm over texting. There is one person that isn't this guy that makes me overthink. Steven knows about this. But I approach things very differently, and I'm choosing to move on from that if I can. But the second that person shows any interest, I'm gonna drop everything. I already know it. The person they show any type of interest towards me.
When you know, like you want what you want.
No, Steven, like this is a very different situation. Like I've never found myself in this position where if they were to say something, I'd drop it.
Well, like what I said, you know what you want. You want this one, so when you want what you want, you fucking get it. Like that's what it
is. So for me, it's just like I don't know. I don't overthink things, but that one individual makes me overthink up the fucking ass. It's
I do
ridiculous.
want to interject and say, like, I am so, I don't want to say proud, like I'm a dad, but like I'm so impressed by the fact that, because I know you're an emotional guy, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like I like that you're able to show your emotions, because if anything, you being able to show your emotions to me allows me to feel okay with who I am, and that is one of like my biggest things with you. This is why I really relate to you and why I really like talking to you. My thing with you about that whole not being able to, like, not allowing yourself to overthink, I think it's, what the fuck? Like, how did you do that? Because I think I speak for a lot of the people out there in which I don't want to overthink either. But sometimes when I don't get a response back, I am one of those type to scroll up and be like, what did I say that made me turn them off from talking to me? And when I don't see any evidence, I start to think, are the people they're talking to, other than me, just that much more exciting that they, would prefer to talk to them instead of me? And then
no, I'm gonna stop you right there. It's none of that.
Right, but that's all I'm trying to say is that this is what it looks like sometimes for people who overthink, right? And that's why for me, it's like, how are you able to not even get to that point?
It's I like to think my intuition. Thank you so much. No, so I have a friend, and you know this friend as well. Who was overthinking. We're not going to name names.
Right.
But this friend would have a scenario where, and the other person had read receipts on, so you get notified if they read it or not.
Right.
And,
I think I know.
You very much know who this is.
I think I know. We love you.
Yes, we really do.
We really love you.
I love you so much.
Yes.
But I think that's the issue. When you see that somebody read your text
Yeah.
and you don't get a response, you immediately go straight to the negative.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't go straight to the negative. I start thinking, and I only start thinking this way because I've been a victim of this.
Okay. All right.
Not a victim of the situation itself, but the victim of what we call the send button that doesn't fucking send.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it's where you think you sent a text, but it didn't send, and it's just sitting there
Oh god, yes.
in your message,
That happens to me
ready
when I'm
to
drunk.
send.
So
So whenever that happened, I would be like, oh, you know what? They probably didn't push send. It's happened to me, so I know. Like, I go for the logical answers. I don't go for the illogical, negative
right.
possibilities.
So you give them the benefit of the doubt right away.
You have to.
Right.
In order for a relationship to work, you need to give the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, I haven't been in a relationship since said relationship we mentioned before, but it's not because I lack trust. It's not because I doubt my ability to love. It's not because I'm scared. Trust me, if I allowed myself to be scared, I would be locked up in a fucking closet.
Oh my god, Malloe.
Like, I wouldn't give love a try. But my thing with that is I prefer to fall in love and to meet somebody organically, but we're in a different age.
Yes.
And it's very hard to meet the love of your life in a coffee shop when you don't drink coffee either.
Right. No, for sure. Fucking for sure, Malloe.
But I think I watched one too many rom-coms as well growing up because, like, you know, I want to fall in love the way what's her name falls in love in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, working at a fucking travel agency,
Oh my
and they
god,
just catch ice to the fucking window.
That's like, when is that gonna happen?
Anything's possible, honestly. Like,
okay,
anything is possible. I feel like that might have already been the case, but just different moments in life.
do you mean you found the right guy at the wrong time?
Yeah.
No, my heart. No, that's the worst.
Which is a said individual.
Oh my lord.
But like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I can't force things to move forward. It's
no, for sure.
If it happens, it happens. But honestly, you also have to remember there isn't just one person you can fall in love with. You can fall in love with multiple people. I am not saying I am polyamorous.
No.
I want to clarify that. I cannot and will not date multiple people at once. I will not do an open relationship. But in different parts of your life at different moments, there can be more than one soulmate. There's a reason why they say soulmates with an S. There can be multiple ones.
I really like
whether they're best friends. Soulmates can also be best friends. It doesn't have to be somebody you see romantically. Now, if it's somebody you see romantically, then that might be your twin flame baby. I don't know. But I feel like this is definitely individual. I really genuinely felt like, ooh, they're definitely one of the ones.
Oh my.
Not saying that there's multiple, but this is the first time I've genuinely felt a lot towards somebody, and it's to the point where even though I have a very what do you call it? You have a good head on your shoulders, like a very balanced head. I don't know the correct phrase, but
no, for sure.
Everything makes sense. But everything doesn't make sense at the same time. So you start thinking illogically. You start thinking...
This is the one person that really throws you off your gravitational axis.
Oh my god, yes.
I know you. You always are very, I can rely on you to tell me things that are like matter of fact, very like thought through. Like it is very, very, very commonsensical. So for me to hear this coming from you, man, you got that love bug. I can't even fucking deny that shit. I'm
Um,
sorry.
Honestly, like I don't want to say it's unfortunate because I think I didn't think I'd ever have that type of attraction towards anybody.
Right.
Not saying it in a negative connotation, but
No.
like I didn't think I would have that somebody that I could actually see myself possibly, if things were to work out or if things were to go in the direction I would hope that they would one day or
Oh.
maybe never, who knows.
Oh my god.
But like the possibility of marrying them
Yeah.
and having like genuinely having a long life together. Like my thing
I
is
love
I'm very
that.
big, I'm very old school, in terms of dating, all that stuff. Like I'm gonna be honest, I fucking hate texting. Absolutely hate it because you talk about everything over text, and then once you're finally in person, you have nothing to fucking talk about.
You know, I I I'd like to disagree only because for me personally,
Mhm.
I actually view it that way as well. And it's happened in which the people I've met, the chemistry just never translated to real life. Because, like when
Yes.
you text, it's kind of like we got to know each other so well through text, right? Um, I I agree on the fact that maybe these things shouldn't be written. These things should not be texted because this is why I always send video messages or voice messages because
Yes.
right, the biggest difference is in hearing the sincerity behind the words. You can write a 30 fucking page long essay about how much you love food, and if we meet in person and I see the way you look at food and the way you eat food, and it doesn't translate to what you wrote, it's over. That's why the meaning behind it, right? Everything gets lost in translation when you do text. So, in that aspect, I do agree. But at the same time, I feel like there are a lot of things that. Okay, this is weird. This is me being like a hopeless romantic. When I read something and I meet this person in person and I kind of just imagine the things that they've told me on text and they're able to translate that in person, it makes it that much better. So I guess it is, like for me, it's just kind of like maybe it's an experience thing, maybe because I've experienced it. That for me, I'm just kind of like I tend to disagree with that, but I do agree
I think
with
it would be better over voice
yeah,
messages.
like just like having
Only
that
because
emotion.
yes, because I know exactly how you are, I've
Yeah,
known you long enough to know that you're very much voice messages over regular text messages because just the tone doesn't translate over, unfortunately.
yeah,
You don't hear the enthusiasm, the passion behind what it is that you're talking about,
right,
or whether or not how heated you are about something.
exactly.
So I think in that aspect, if people did voice messages, it'd be much easier. But the factor of the matter is people, and this goes back to what we were originally talking about before we went off on our
Sorry.
tangents. Um, no, don't even apologize. I'm the one who went on that
I
tangent.
love it though. I mean, this is the whole
um,
point of this.
but this takes us back to how we rely on how somebody texts us. We
Right.
go straight to the negative thought process of, oh, maybe they're not as interested. Maybe they just don't like me as much. Or maybe they're just like losing interest. It's not that. Like people aren't always going to respond right away. And if they left you on red, like honestly, I've committed that mistake. I've opened a text with the intent to respond, but something happens in
Right.
that moment that
Exactly.
draws my attention away from that situation, that text message, and distracts me, and I have to go handle that situation. Whether it's work related, personal life with family, friends, whatever it is. Sometimes even a phone call comes in, and I forget I was sent a text message. So it's not that this person is purposely just reading and leaving it on read. There are
Right.
some, I'm not gonna lie, there are some bitches that do that. But
Yeah.
why do you have to go straight to that thought process? Oh, they just don't want to talk to me.
Right.
Like, why? Do you want to be miserable? Do you want to be sad? Do you want to feel like your life isn't gonna go anywhere? No. Like,
Right.
snap your shit out of that. Like, snap out of it. Get your head out of the shitter. Like, I'm sorry if I sound like this is tough love, but like,
I think it's much
you
needed.
have to think a bit. You have to be a little bit more logical about like your thought process and where like what's going on. If somebody doesn't respond, or if they left you on red, it doesn't mean that they're losing interest. Like
Right.
give them the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, giving the benefit of the doubt can possibly lead to some beautiful moments in your life, whether it's for a season or for the entire fucking the entirety of your life. Like
I love that. That is so
give the
sweet.
benefit of the doubt because what you're doing is you're possibly cutting out an opportunity you might have that love because you immediately want to go, well, they're not interested. Let me text them and tell them
Amen.
I'm no longer interested. There are going to be moments where these people don't know how to effectively communicate because that's the one thing about our generation as well. Communication is key, but people do not know how to express their emotions without feeling like they're going to overwhelm the other individual. Um, without thinking they're going to overwhelm the other individual and possibly ruin what they have. There is such a thing as over communication as well. That bit me in the ass before. There's one individual who I was talking to for quite a while. For this was back in 2020, beginning of 2021 as well.
Okay.
We were talking for about 8 months. I tried multiple times to. I didn't try. I asked them to go on dates multiple times. They said yes, and they would say, "Oh, I'll get back to you. I'll check my schedule." Because I wasn't always this level-headed.
Right.
Let's be honest, I was a fucking mess at one point.
Oh.
But to get to the point that I'm at, I definitely had to go through this experience.
Yeah.
Um, and said individual, I asked them out multiple times. They would say yes each time, and they'd said, "Oh well, I'll get back to you. I'll let you know what my schedule is." They would never. We would, obviously we'd get distracted. We'd talk about other things, and we'd forget to touch base on that. So we never actually had the opportunity to go on dates. Now there were some things that was said on his part that would make me feel beyond insecure.
Okay.
There's this one time I can't divulge too much information because then he'll know who.
Oh no.
Um,
I mean, you're not gonna send him the link, right?
fuck no, but who knows if he watches this?
Ooh.
You know what? I don't give a fuck. I
This
don't
is
give-
dedicated to. All right. Ream that man, not rim.
So-
Ream him.
Fuck. I can't even say like let's say this because his name is actually.
Very distinct. Okay.
It is very distinct because not a lot of people have it.
Well, now I'm gonna go dig.
Extreme. I can tell you his name is in a very well-known Disney movie.
It's in a very well-known Disney movie.
Yes,
His
but
name-
it's very distinct.
His name is Olaf.
Fuck no. He'd be considered a Disney prince, I guess.
A Disney prince.
Prince.
Okay.
You're like, what the fuck? I don't know any
I'm
movie.
like dying here. I'm like, hey, what did this fucker say or do?
So essentially, what happened was, fuck, what did he do? No, I'm just kidding. So, I guess I'll just divulge more information than I need to. I won't dox his name or anything.
Don't dox the name. Don't dox the name.
Because his name is super distinct. Like
I'm fucking
not-
dead. Malloe's
like a lot of people don't have this name.
You're telling the whole world, guys, please find this person.
Shut up. So he works as a stylist, right?
Okay.
Here in LA.
Okay.
He works for, he works as a stylist for certain individuals, and one of these individuals is on a hit Netflix
Okay.
series. So when he was doing some things for this said
Individual.
individual who's well known, she's very well known now, because of this Netflix show. Um, she had asked for a certain dress, an Alexander McQueen 2001 Alexander McQueen dress, from the vaults. When something is in the vaults, it's very difficult to get your hands on, right?
Right.
So he went and joked about how he got his hands on said dress,
Yeah.
and he said he had to promise sexual favors in
Oh.
order to get his hands on the dress.
Oh.
And he didn't say it in a joking way. So then I asked, 'cause that made me feel really insecure. I was like,
Right.
well, I mean, like, you're talking to me. Like, why would you do something like that?
Yeah.
So I asked, you're joking, right? And he's like, yeah, sure.
Oh.
So for me, it's like, that made me feel so, like, it was one of those moments where it made my heart drop into my stomach type
Of
of feeling, like that
course.
nasty, nasty feeling, because it makes you feel like it really fucked me up in that moment.
Right.
Now, if people say shit like that, I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck. Like, we're in
Yeah.
the talking stages, like, for me, it's like, yes, I like you, but at the end of the day, I also hold people at an arm's distance, not in the sense that they can't hurt me or anything like that. Like, yeah, I still get hurt if things don't go the way one would hope,
Of course.
but I hold them like pretty much like in the middle. I get hurt, but not to the point where I'm gonna wallow in self pity if things don't go the way they should. So with him, he made me feel that way. Like, I spoke to this individual for
Months.
8-9 months.
I do have a question about that. And I
Of
feel like a
course.
lot of the listeners and viewers right now, they have found themselves in similar situations. Maybe not someone fucking somebody else for an Alexander McQueen dress, but in,
Yeah.
a more general situation when you are talking to someone and nothing is set. And it's one of those things where, is it an understood, unspoken agreement that if you are talking to someone for months, that they should exclusively only be talking to you or sleeping with you? Or is it one of those things where you are talking and you have established that, yeah, you know what, I'm not talking to anybody else, let's see where this goes, and this is exclusively us?
That's a great question, Diane. I'll have to get back to you on that. No, I'm just kidding. That's honestly a really great question, and that's actually what I was getting into as
I love
well.
it.
You're a really great mind reader.
No.
I don't know why I just giggled like that. But but as far as, like, what I was saying, it created that insecurity in me, so I communicated.
Right.
And I let him know how that made me feel.
Right.
And how his actions made me feel shitty. He did not like that I called him out. So things went negatively.
Left, yeah.
Hella left. They went fucking like 90-degree turn, like
fucking Reina del Sur of fucking situations went south quick.
That shit went south real fucking quick, and we stopped talking.
Oh my
and
God.
That affected my self-confidence beyond belief. So for me now, I'm like, I don't want to say I'm self-conscious, because for me, I'm just self-conscious about body image, even though slowly but surely I'm loving myself for who I am, how I am.
As you should.
But unfortunately, we still have set standards within the gay community that people set, and we have this set image of what a sexy ass bitch looks like. But that's trauma for another day.
Malloe, you are okay. Look, I'm just gonna break it for 10 seconds and say this. None of these motherfucking bodies got anything on your face. Think of it that way, okay? Let this be your motivator. If you really wanted to get snatched bodies, you fucking can. But these motherfuckers gonna have to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to maybe, big maybe, even get as close to looking good as you do naturally. So that's the fucking tea, and that's what you gotta carry to yourself so you don't ever feel that way about your body. I'm being serious. Okay.
Thank you. Honestly,
Yes.
I know. I do think things through like that, but like,
Yeah,
it's still that self-confidence issue still
for
there.
sure.
But, going back to what were we talking about? I'm kidding. Going back to
Insecurities.
what we were talking about, like with our insecurities, So I'm conscientious of, because I don't want to say I'm self-conscious about this.
Right.
I am conscientious of over communication. There is such a thing as over communicating and overwhelming somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you communicate, you also need to set boundaries as to how often you communicate, because if you communicate too much and too frequently, you're going to force that person to lose interest. So there does need to be boundaries as to how well you communicate. But also going back to what you said and what you had asked about whether there's an unspoken rule about where you guys stand.
Yeah.
Which goes back to communication.
Right.
If you don't communicate where it is that you guys stand, you cannot get upset. You cannot get hurt. And I'm sorry if I sound like a dick saying this, but you cannot get upset or hurt that they're fucking somebody while they're talking to you, or if they're talking to somebody else. Like, if you did not set those boundaries, if you did not set those standards, I don't want to say standards for the relationship because you don't want to set standards, but if you didn't at least communicate that you were going to exclusively speak to them, or that you guys were going to be exclusive to one another, then you can't get upset when you find out
that they are boning somebody else.
Yeah,
for all they know, you're fucking around.
Because unfortunately, especially within the gay community, and I hate it, like it's something I genuinely dislike, because it should be an unspoken rule that if you're talking to somebody, you're going to give them undivided attention to the best of your ability. Because again, not everybody gives the same amount of effort. Not that they don't give the same amount of effort, but their 100% are not always equal.
Yes.
It should be an unsaid rule to give that person your undivided attention in terms of who you're talking to romantically. But unfortunately, within the gay community, everything is so casual, especially sex. And this is where I feel like I don't belong in this time period.
Right.
Because for me, I'm very old school, like I said before, I want to meet organically. I want to follow organically, not through fucking Tinder, Surge, fucking
Hinge.
I don't know these apps. Tammy, Hinge.
I've never had Tammy. Actually.
Fucking Grindr.
Oh, okay, Grindr.
I don't know. I've just heard of it. I've gotten so many fucking Snapchat ads.
Right, that's exactly where I get it from. Fucking Snapchat.
I think sex has become so casual now that it's people just don't know how to approach relationships now. Because everybody just wants a quick fuck, so they'll go somewhere and find it.
Right.
But it should be an unspoken rule that you should give your undivided attention, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So when it comes to that, due to how the inner workings of the way the gay community works, well, any community for that matter. So it's not just the alphabet mafia; it's also cis straight people.
Yeah.
The way just dating in general works, communicate.
Yes.
And determine whether both parties can be exclusive to one another.
Right.
If somebody's not willing to do that, then I mean, thank you next. Like, bye.
Right.
Move on. Save yourself the time of getting hurt. Like, honestly, okay. since I mentioned getting hurt for a while. I've had multiple multiple situations that fucked me up for a while, but luckily I'm like in a great headspace. I'm like, when I tell you guys I went through depression, I fucking, like, Steven
Right.
knows this.
Yep.
I
Oh
fucking
yeah.
went through it
Oh
last year,
yes.
the end of 2021. I went through it and more, and so much so I got 8 parking tickets in 1 month.
Oh my God, Malone.
Like, it
What
was a shit show.
the
Um,
fuck were you parking?
it's a city called Long Beach. You never want to go there.
Oh
The
my
parking's
God,
ass.
Malone.
The parking is so shitty.
Sweet,
Never
merciful
living there again. And
Jesus.
if I do, I'm gonna have my own driveway.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but the shit I went through leading up to that point, I had a coworker
Hmm.
who, the feelings were mutual between the both of us.
Right.
He liked me, I liked him, romantically speaking.
Okay.
But it wasn't. The timing was so bad. He had just broken up with his man. Well, he hadn't just broken up with him, but they'd been separated for like maybe a couple months to a year.
Yeah.
And he knew he wasn't mature enough to be in a relationship. And we left it at that. Then come Christmas 2018. This man had been away for some time. He was on a health leave, something to do with health. He comes back, and when he came back, we had already picked out names for a secret Santa
Okay.
thing we're having after work at Yard House. So I didn't want him feeling left out. So I literally went above and beyond, got him
Oh,
a gift, or a series of gifts in one gift,
series of
of things that I knew
gifts.
he liked. Like, the thing is about me, at least in terms of dating, I pay attention to likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
If you say you absolutely love one particular thing, like, that shit's in the back of my head.
You'll know.
already.
Yeah.
You already know me, Steven. Like,
Yep.
I remember details that people don't normally remember. Like, it's not that I'm detail oriented, but when I care about people, if they mention that they really love something, like, that's gonna stick with me, and that's what I'm gonna remember. Or if you told me that you grew up in this place and it's not something a lot of people know, like, for some reason I just remember odd details.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's because I'm neurodivergent or if it's because I'm just fucking weird.
I think it's your love language. Like you're able to pick up on these things.
Yes. So, there was, obviously, because it was a mutual feeling, I didn't make a conscious effort to remember these things. Like, it's just stuff he would mention, and it's
know.
just stuff I would
Just pick it
remember. I would know. So I put together a gift for him. Some Pokemon socks, Pokemon hat, some things, his favorite candies, because we had several conversations where he would have mentioned, like, his favorite candies and which ones they were. And so I got him a couple things, and I even shopped for these things at Boxed Lunch. Like, that shit is fucking expensive, bro.
Fuck.
It was $30 for a pair of socks.
I'm sorry.
But
what?
I didn't care. When you like somebody,
You like someone? Yeah, you got to splurge.
it's not even splurge. It's just like, you don't really you don't think about it. You're just like, you know what? I really want to, like, make this person feel like they were thought of and somebody cares about them.
I need to get to that point because I just end up splurging.
So I don't splurge unnecessarily, but the issue with me is I'm also very spontaneous.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's an issue. I think that's...
I'm a spontaneous bitch. Like, that's the one thing I want to change about myself. Like,
what?
in terms of buying,
Okay. I was like,
I'm spontaneous in terms of, like, splurging, I guess. I can
Okay.
be spontaneous with purchases.
Okay.
Like, 1 second I won't be thinking about it, but the second I think about it, tunnel vision.
You just buy.
And it's a problem.
No.
So I bought him all these things to put together the gift. We go to the thing, and he doesn't know I have the gift for him. So then everybody does their secret Santa, and then I look at him and I'm like, hey, I didn't want you feeling left out. so I put this together for you.
Oh my god.
And he looked like he was about to cry.
Who wouldn't? Oh, are you about to cry? Oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna take a quick announcement. There you go.
Oh, make your announcement.
Oh no, it was a joke. Now he's back. That's the announcement. Go on.
I disconnected my mic. Sorry. So he looked like he wanted to cry because it was like a bunch of stuff. Like he actually like, listen. I even put together like Lego Gyarados for this man.
I'm sorry. Did you build it yourself?
Yes.
You absolute
Like-
fuck. Oh my god,
Like,
Malloe.
okay, here's the thing about me. I'm very like
Very sweet,
my-
yes.
I'm very sweet and caring, but also like I'm the type of boyfriend that will like if I suddenly think, oh my god, let me make this for them, I will do it. I'll build it. Like if it's a fucking Lego the Falcon, the Millennium Falcon from Star
my
Wars.
God,
If
did you
you
build
say
that for
you're obsessed
someone?
with no, but
Oh,
I'm
Jesus
saying
Christ.
that's where my mind goes.
Okay.
I honestly think it has to do with me being neurodivergent and my ADHD. But like if I suddenly think to myself, you know what, they said they like this, and that thought crosses my mind, I'll do it. But that's because not because like for self satisfaction.
No.
Although building with Legos is fun, um, I'll do it and I'll dedicate all the time I need to because I want to,
Right.
not because I feel like I have to. Like
No.
for me, if it doesn't come from my heart, then I kind of like I don't want to do it. So if somebody
course.
asks me for a favor and it's not
That's
and
not
it's
in line with your shit, you don't do it.
yes, like my family hates me for this, but when they ask me for favors and it's not something that came from my heart, like it's not something I wanted to do, then I'm gonna be so reluctant to do it.
Oh.
I'll still do it, but I'm not gonna be happy about it.
At least you still do it.
Reluctantly,
I'm
though.
a firm believer of somebody who, you shouldn't do things you're not comfortable with. Period.
Yes. And for me, there's this phrase in Spanish, si no me nazca del corazón. Like, if it doesn't come from the heart,
Okay.
it doesn't feel okay.
I love that.
So when I built the Lego Gyarados, it was something that I thought of spontaneously. In terms of relationships, I do spontaneous shit like that.
Right.
My love language is giving, but it's also actually I don't even know what else it would be.
Getting hit. No. Sorry. Just...
I hate you. But my love language, one of my love languages is giving. And I have multiple. I can't pinpoint them all right now,
No,
but
for sure.
definitely
Yeah.
giving. So I'm very spontaneous with giving as well. I won't tell you, I won't speak of it, but I'll do it. So I built a Lego Gyarados, and so he would have that sitting at his desk while he was working.
That's so cute.
So when I gave him this gift, everybody, unfortunately, I want to say unfortunate, but everybody was drinking. I wasn't. When it comes to drinking, I'm honestly not too crazy about it. I do me, and
Right.
I can have fun without alcohol. I didn't drink, I had fun at parties until I was 21 and I never drank.
Right.
I can have fun now. But honestly, it makes it feel like ugh at the same time. So, like honestly, like I was over drinking by the age of 23.
You're like done with it. You can just do whatever. Like if it's necessary,
Like
it's necessary.
I can have fun without it.
Yeah.
I don't need a drink to have fun, to have a blast, to make memories. So, I'm not much of a drinker now. But as far as when they were all drinking, he drank too. He got drunk, and I was his ride home.
Okay.
So I took him home, was dropping him off, and he comes back into the car and he plants a big fat kiss on me.
Oh.
And that shit caught me so out of left field because it was like it came out of nowhere. It was like from a
Right. It
movie,
was you didn't even
you know.
expect it, you know?
So he does that, and he's like moving to like get out the car, and I pull him back in, and I kiss him back. um, and after that, it's the most fucked up thing. So after that, I drop him off. I head home. And the next day, we have our work best friends. And
Right.
luckily, these work best friends are also some best friends in real life. We haven't really spoken because of COVID.
Right.
So we haven't really been able to hang out. But I kept this shit to myself for 3 fucking days because I didn't want to say anything. I didn't
Of
want to
course.
gossip about it.
Yeah.
One of my best friends had gotten mad at me once saying it's always about you. I was like, bitch, I never talk about myself.
Fucking
Okay.
dead.
So then, I kept it to myself, but it turns out this son of a bitch had told them the next day. So they knew about it, and they didn't tell me they knew about it. So then 3 days pass, and I'm like, okay, I didn't tell you guys this, but like, I kissed so-and-so. And they're like, bitch, we already knew that this and that, and oh my God. And then he proceeded to go MIA from work.
Okay. Okay.
And he quit
Oh.
after kissing me. Like, I felt like
Wait.
that was a problem.
Oh yeah. Well, hold on. But did you speak to the man after?
Tried.
Huh?
Tried. And he said we should forget it happened.
Wait. Whoa. Hold on.
And then he proceeded to quit.
Hold on. I'm so confused. Okay, hold on. So he goes and tells people what happened, and then he says to forget it ever happened when he was the one who was telling everybody that it happened.
Yes, and what's so funny is he was excited about it.
Okay, and this man, is he a part of our mafia?
Yeah, he's Alphabet Mafia.
Okay.
100%.
I'm so confused. And you've literally not heard from him since, not even regarding the situation you found yourselves in.
Oh no. So he quit, didn't hear from him for 3 months, and he messages me on Instagram 3 months later.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, how have you been? What have you been up to? How's life treating you? And I'm like, who are you? Listen, I was petty. And he was like, are you really going to treat me like that? I was like, well, you did this and you told so-and-so and you're really excited about it. And you knew it was a mutual feeling because you liked me and I liked you. So then you disappeared.
Right.
And then he came up with the most bullshit ass excuse. And he was like, oh, it's because I went to rehab. And I'm like, right, that's why you're posting that you were on a beach and then you deleted it. Like, what? And he was like, he really didn't have anything to say about it. So then I told him, I was like, honestly, we have nothing to talk about. He's like, can we still be friends at least? And I was like, I don't think I can be friends with you right now.
Right.
Because homie disappeared for 3 months, and then he's like,
it's not even the disappearing act for me. It's everything else prior and then disappearing. That is what bothers me.
Yes. And what's so funny is like 2 months prior, somebody had told me, I want you in my life, but not as mine. Because I was trying to get over him.
Oh my God.
And listen, some of the most fucked up shit has happened to me, and I'm just like, I need to start making an exit survey. Like,
not an exit survey. Oh my God.
Like, but I'm saying that because people, like, we get driven to a point where we think we're the problem. That's
Right.
what I was trying to get at with this whole story, and I'm so sorry I went off on this tangent.
That's okay.
But I was trying to get to that is that these experiences don't mean that you're the problem.
Mm-hmm,
It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It doesn't
Right.
mean that you have issues. It just means that unfortunately you have the worst fucking luck in the world. Like,
Oh, but
I'm kidding. But honestly, like I was to a point where I genuinely thought I was like I should start giving these bitches an exit survey because I need to know what's wrong with me. Like, what am I doing that they're like, I want you in my life, but I don't want to be with you.
right,
Oh, every single possible relationship I had, it's so funny, was ended with, you're an amazing guy. I don't think I've ever met anybody like you. You're sweet, you're kind, you're funny. But I don't think you're the one for me. Every single possible has ended like that. And I'm like, okay, so I'm a boss ass bitch. I'm the bomb. Like everybody, like, you know.
right,
So even though like they all ended horribly, I started thinking to myself, you know what? They've all been consistent with telling me I'm amazing, I'm this, I'm that. But it's just they weren't ready for it.
right. And
So it kind of like I convinced myself and I reassured myself that I was not the problem. I was never the problem. Not
no,
that they
for
were the
sure,
problem, but just our lives weren't matching up.
right.
And I think that goes into say that you don't need assurance from somebody to know if they like you or not. What you need is self assurance. You
Yes,
need to assure yourself that if things are going to work out, like have trust, have trust in the process. But there are people that will tell you that they don't know where their feelings are at right now. And unfortunately, some people are currently going through that.
yeah,
A couple people I know personally that are going through that, where they don't know where it is that they're at. But also just I don't know how to say it, but like try to date somebody around your age because the younger you date, even if they're like 22, 23, 24, they're not emotionally mature enough.
I was going to say this is very true, and this is not a dig at the younger crowd, right? It truly is. It. How can I put it this way? People around the same age as you, um, prior to being like, let's say 35, right? You're able to kind of grow together. So, someone can argue, oh, you said not to date younger, but this couple, they're like 22 and 24, and they were 22 and 24 when they met, and they, had an excellent life together. It's, you do understand that they are still within around the same age, and that they're able to experience things at the same time. And I'm not saying that it's not possible, right? But this is judging from, obviously, like, I've been, like, I don't want to say relationships, but like I've had experiences with, younger men and older men. And on both ends, it's kind of like we were looking at different things. Like our priorities when it comes to relationships and union and partnership is very different. And already there, you can kind of tell that, okay, yeah, we can make it work one day, but are we going to be able to get there? So it's very difficult. And you know what? Like while I'm on this topic, though, I do want to say, it's really nice to hear your opinions on, or your take on this whole side of the relationship, because it's one that not a lot of people are able to admit to themselves. It's kind of like, it feels like tough love, you're right, but I feel like it's a lot of the things that people need to hear. And
Yeah, like, mm-hmm.
No, sorry, go on.
No, keep going.
No, and I just kind of want to touch upon the very first thing that you had spoken of, and in which, for me, I was just kind of like, I sat here and I was like, there's something else I can add to that, and it's the fact that aside from people who don't know what they want and have to know what they want, it's what really bothers me are people who meet someone they are wildly attracted to and it is reciprocated, but they get to know said individuals and realize this person isn't necessarily what they were looking for. this person does not meet their, unfortunately, expectations that they have of someone. And what they do is they try to change that individual to fit the mold that they had prepared. And you never do that. That is not a relationship. That is not a partnership. This is you being Dr. Frankenstein, creating the monster. That is exactly what's going on here. And you have the audacity to say, I gave it my all and you gave me nothing. But hold on, from the very beginning, you knew what this person was capable or not capable of doing.
Yes.
You knew that this person was like this and like that. Why did you take it upon yourself to either be a martyr trying to make this person a quote-unquote better version of themselves to be with you, that if you fail at doing so, you end up blaming them for everything? That is what I don't fuck with. And a lot of people, straight or within the LGBTQIA plus communities, exhibit such behaviors. And this is where I feel that truly, I don't think they can really blame themselves. I really feel like this is where maturity, and if it's not maturity, where their traumatic experiences do come out. Because sometimes that is one of the biggest things. People never recover from their traumas, and they end up having to really feel like I need to be at 100, guarded at all times. And how can we allow them to put their guard downs again, to understand that, look, it's okay to be uncertain about things, right? And it's okay to have somebody different from you, to not have someone actually fit the mold, to have maybe somehow, figure out together what you are looking for in each other. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. It is not your fault. It's exactly what you said, Malloe. It is not your fault, but neither it is theirs.
Yeah, it's just things just don't work out, honestly. Yeah. And unfortunately, we have, people think, oh, this is gonna be, I'm sorry, y'all about, if you get offended, you get offended. I'm gonna be real fucking real right now, but stop trying to put an answer to everything. Not everything has a fucking answer. And if you're trying to place the blame on a specific reason, don't even date.
Right.
And and I'm saying this because there isn't always gonna be a specific reason as to why things didn't work out. Just take things as they are. Move forward, and if you're choosing to dwell on past experiences, at the end of the day, that's on you, because what you're doing is you're meeting a new individual each and every time, but you're still applying your past experiences onto them, your expectations, your traumas, everything. How the fuck do you expect to grow and fall in love with somebody if you're gonna be saying, well, I need to have my guard up? If I did that, if I did that because of all the bullshit I've been through, you know what? That's gonna come out wrong, because I was gonna say I'd still be single, because guess what? I'm still single. But
not the point. That's not the point.
But the difference is, I'm single because I realized that in order for me to be happy, I needed to be happy being alone first.
Yes. Oh my god, so important.
I'm genuinely happy being alone. I'm not dependent on having somebody. I'm not dependent on having a significant other so that I can feel like I'm whole.
Yes.
If you can't feel whole, if you cannot feel like yourself by yourself, you have no business dating right now.
Yep.
It sounds fucked up, but don't. And you're probably telling yourself, well, I don't like being alone. I don't like this. I don't like that. Then hang out with friends if you don't like being alone. Learn to hang out by yourself. Go treat yourself to a movie. Go buy a fucking ice cream. But learn to be whole on your own. Because, listen, if you treat yourself like a whole and you're trying to get filled, baby, you're just getting passed around.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being passed around as long as you like it.
No, but
as long as you
people
are
do it
consciously
because
doing
they
it.
think it's. A lot of people don't consciously do it though. They think they're
Unfortunately,
doing
yes.
it to like. It only harms them more, and I mean that in the most genuine way. Like you're harming yourself more, thinking you need to be with somebody to be better. No, like work on
Yeah.
being better on your
Yeah.
own, because the moment you do that, and maybe this is why I see things differently when it comes to relationships. Um, but that's why, like, if things don't work out, then they don't work out. I brush it off. I go about my own life.
Yeah.
If somebody decides that they're no longer choosing to go forward with me or whatever, however it is they want to go about things, like, yeah, like there's okay, there's like nobody. It's not gonna ruin my day. It's not gonna ruin my life.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move forward and unapologetically be myself. I'm
Right.
gonna be happy on my own, even if things don't work out. Okay, I'll be bummed out for a day
Yeah.
or two, but you pick yourself back up,
C'est la vie,
pick your chin up, and you keep fucking going. Like that's how you have to move forward with life. Like, and it's something like there's a lot of shit I had to go through to get where I am today, but like my lowest, and I mean my lowest point was the end of last year. Like Steven knows I was fucking going through it. Like I was going through some shit and
It was a
then
very
some
difficult
more.
time. It was it was very concerning. It was one of those moments definitely where, and I really do feel like, I always say this, but therapy does work, and it was one of those moments where I was very like, hey, like, yeah, I gotta talk to someone, right? It was just, especially on our end, it was, I don't want to say scared, right? Worried. We were very worried because Malloe had just not been himself. And it was heartbreaking to see. Yeah.
Like it was rough. But I think what we need to be mindful of is it's okay, like you don't have to be with a person so that you can feel like yourself. Yes, you can say, well, I feel like I'm better when I'm with so and so.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like honestly, that's amazing. But you should feel like yourself and you should feel happy even without somebody
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
And if you're not able to do that, I'm not saying there's an underlying issue, but I honestly think, therapy might be a good thing so that you don't go drift into a place you don't want to be.
Amen.
So that's where self-care and self-love comes, which is why it goes back to what I was saying before about self-assurance.
And I do want to add
yeah.
on the topic of like therapy, right? And this does relate to it directly. It's a lot of people out there in terms of filling a hole within themselves, within their hearts, within, they feel like something's missing. A lot of, and I can speak about it because I am unfortunately one of these individuals that if I had not sought out professional help, I really wouldn't have been able to compartmentalize these things, and I truly would not have been able to realize, oh my god, this is what I did wrong. But a lot of us who were abandoned by our parents, not saying it has to be physically, like, like literally like left you, like I was left by my parents, yes, but there are people who grew up in a home that they never got that kind of love and attention that they that a parent usually gives their children. A lot of people end up attaching themselves to their partners in the hopes of fulfilling whatever it is that their parents were not able to give them. And that is a dangerous thing, because what you're now doing is you are setting expectations on a partner, someone who is supposed to be your equal, someone who is supposed to, you are also supposed to kind of provide the same kind of love and care to each other. But now they have this added layer of, well, you also now need to be my parent and give me that kind of attention and love that my parents never gave me. These people will never be able to fill that. And that's where a lot of relationships fail, because they start to feel like, oh my God, you don't love me. And it's like, what are you talking about? And they can't explain it. They're like, something's just missing, not realizing that yes, something's missing because you have now imposed everything that you expected from a parental figure onto this partner of yours. Very, very dangerous game to play. So if y'all are starting to realize that you're like this, please seek professional help to try and figure out how to separate that, because that is not fair. That is not fair.
And since we're on that topic of relationships and expectations, especially when it's stuff that you didn't receive from like your parental figures, there's this saying that a lot of people misconstrue time and time again, and I mean they misconstrue the fuck out of it. And I'm sure everybody who's listening to this podcast will nod their head and in agreement. But the phrase that everybody knows is blood is thicker than water. People have an assumption that the meaning blood is thicker than water means family comes first.
Yeah.
But that's not the original quote. It goes, blood is thicker than water, but the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Woo!
Meaning, just because you're blood related and there's shit you went through does not mean you have to keep them in your life. Doesn't mean you have to maintain those relationships. It don't mean shit. Like, I love my family, but when I was going through it, when I was going through it, I straight up told my mom and I told my sisters and anybody who I was close to in my family that I'm related to by blood, I told them straight up, I told them straight up that I was at a point where I was ready to disappear from their lives. I told them, I was like, I'm not going to lose one drop of sleep cutting you guys out.
Right.
Like, if I leave, I'm going to leave and you're never going to hear from me. You're going to hear from me when I want you to, not when you want.
Right.
And guess what? When I want, it's going to be never. Because you guys, and I told them straight up, I was like, you guys, I hate to say it, and if you get offended, that's on you. But you've driven me to a point where you bring out the worst person in me. You bring out this person that is not me. Like, Steven can, if you were to ask Steven to describe me, he'd point out how genuine I am, how caring, how I laugh.
Amen.
At probably some of the dumbest things to laugh at. But if I hadn't spoken to my family about wanting to cut them out, I wouldn't be where I am today either.
Right.
Which is why it goes back to communication. It shouldn't only be with your romantic relationships, but also your familial relationships. I think it's a very important thing, especially if you find yourselves fighting all the time. Fights are still going to happen even after you communicate.
Yes.
But the negative emotions that you hold in and you harbor, regardless if it's a familial issue and you're having issues with your parents, siblings, whatever it may be, if you don't bring it up, you are subconsciously going to hold that in you. And when you're holding that, unfortunately, it doesn't just affect your family, who you have the issues with. You're going to lash out at people, at best friends. You're going to lash out at close relationships, romantic relationships. It's going to start going into and trickle into every other relationship you have.
Right. It's poison.
It's poison, and it's very poisonous. But, like, when I tell you guys that I was ready to cut them out, I was completely ready to lose all communication with them, erase every... What would you call it? Every aspect of who I am and who I was.
Yeah.
Any trace. I was ready to just, like, get rid of every trace of my existence in their life aside from the photos that they had with me. Like, no social media, nothing. I was ready to disappear.
No form of existence in their presence.
I was ready,
whatsoever.
I was ready to erase who I
Yeah.
was in their lives to start fresh, start new, and be happy.
Right.
But after I had that conversation with them, and it's a tough one to have because they're gonna be upset. They're gonna go on the defensive. Like
Right.
they're gonna go on the defensive to an extreme and try to attack you for them assuming that you're attacking them. But the fact of the matter is, you're just like, for me with my mom went like hardcore defensive. And she even made a point to like say, well, you know what? You always worry me, with your mental health issues. Um, she'll like jokingly ask, "Are you gonna shoot up a school? Are you gonna shoot up a
Oh
store?" She
my
still does it here and there.
god.
She still does it here and there, but what she doesn't realize, she still thinks I'm having like my mental health problems. But the thing is, she only knows what I let her know.
Right.
You know, I don't. I'm a very private person, even with my own family. They don't know who I date. They don't know who my friends are. Why? Because it's not their business,
No, for sure.
ultimately. Because the friends that she does know, she says she doesn't like them. And I'm like, can you give a logical reason as to
Why you don't like them?
why
Yeah.
you don't like them? And she's like, I just don't. They rub me the wrong way. I'm like, okay, so you don't need to know anything about my life. Why
Right.
dating? Nothing. You don't need to know any of that. But going back to what I said, if you have had that conversation with them and have let them know and informed them that you can't continue carrying the relationship that you have with them, then by all means, like, you did what you did to remedy and possibly rectify any hard feelings there might be, even if those feelings remain unspoken, but you attempted to resolve any of those,
Yeah.
and it's still a consistent issue. Like, don't think twice about it. If you're closer to friends and you consider them more of your family than your actual blood relatives, then cut out your blood relatives. You don't need them in your life. And a lot of people think, but they're your family. Just because you're blood related doesn't mean you owe
Nope.
them anything.
Nope. It doesn't make them your family, to be
Don't
honest with you.
owe anything.
If they don't treat you like family, they're not your family. That is the bottom line for me. And this is
And
me.
if you have family members that treat you like shit because of who you are, and I'm talking about people who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, you're non-binary. If your identity does not match up with them and how they perceive you to be,
Yeah.
and they genuinely disrespect you and purposely go about their way to make sure that you know that they don't see you like that, and they see you the way they want to see you, and they tell you something's wrong with you, leave.
Yeah. For sure.
And
Save your sanity.
that's where, it's going to hurt at first. It's going to hurt if they can't get over that hurdle,
Yeah.
and they can't accept you for who you are. You're not a bad person for leaving. You're not wrong for choosing to be happy, because at the end of the day, the only person looking out for you is you. Yes, we have parents, and they say they want what's best for us. But the reality is they want what's best for them so that they don't have to worry about you.
And
I
just want to add
like,
to that, because that was very great, Malloe. I will have to say this. And this is a more compassionate take on what Malloe was saying, because it is true. But we also have to understand something here. We are now at the dawn of a new era in which all of these tools that allows us to get to know ourselves better and to get better help mentally is within our reach. And this is something that our parents were never exposed to. And with what Malloe is saying is exactly the truth. For them, for a lot of these people, my mom including, I love my mom, but the biggest but here is there's a lot of things that she had done to me. Have I forgiven her? Of course. Do I still love her? Of course. Did I hate her at one point? Yes. But one thing that is very hard for me to see is because she was so, she had grown accustomed to that way of life. For them, it's as if they are trying to correct their mistakes, but not necessarily for you, but so that they can prove to themselves that they are also good people. And that's exactly what Malloe was, like, spot on. But the one thing we want to stop, the one thing we want to discontinue is that generational trauma that had caused them, because their parents and their parents before them, this is what's been enforced in them. So if we rewire the way we look at it now and understand, hey, you know what? Fuck my family, but I don't hate them. Fuck my family because unfortunately they can't get past the ignorance. Fuck my family because unfortunately they've been, this hate has been ingrained in them for far too long. It has entrenched within the deepest, darkest roots of their souls. But I will love them regardless, because you know what? Being able to see this and understand this is why I'm breaking away from them. So that my family legacy will start with me. And moving forward, anyone under my name and my blood will not have to go through what I went through. And that is something that's really important to understand.
Very important to understand. And I think, Stephen and I were both part of the millennial generation.
Yeah.
But what I think a lot of people don't realize, and maybe nobody has said it before, and I mean, like, nobody in the world. Hopefully,
Right.
there's some people who are thinking this thought process. I'm really hoping. But I hope in 100 years, 200 years, 50 years, who knows? But I hope people can recognize, whether it's in history books or whatever else it may be, but our generation, we're millennials for a reason.
Yeah.
I honestly think this era we're in is somewhat of a re-enlightenment. The Enlightenment originally back then was a new era, a new age of consciousness where people were a bit more philosophical. They started thinking ethically and whatnot. But I think for this re-enlightenment is the breaking of those generational traumas.
Yes. Amen.
Because why is it that our generation is finally rewiring ourselves? Why couldn't the other generation do it before us? Why couldn't the baby boomers do it? Why? Because they aren't us. They don't have the tools and resources that we have now. We have everything at the tip of our fingers. A lot of people talk about how it's very difficult to get certain things, but it's like, if you search the internet hard enough, you will find all the resources you need, whether for mental health. There's so many resources at no cost to you that you can get for mental health. Suicide prevention hotline. They're updating the number to make it more accessible.
I love it.
So it's gonna be 988 starting in July.
I love that.
Granted, I've heard some really rough stories about this hotline and how they can be assholes. But it's accessible.
Yeah.
You go online, you search therapists or medical providers. If you're in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, you get free health care unless you're paying for like premium health insurance. You also get, whether you're in the UK, wherever you find yourself, look at the resources you have. Obviously, there are going to be some countries, and I know some of you listeners might possibly find yourselves in those countries. But if you find yourself in a country where your resources are restricted due to the government itself and how it treats its citizens and how you guys are prioritized, by all means, if you find yourselves searching the internet, feel free to reach out to me. I'm somebody who's willing to listen.
I love that.
I didn't have anybody to talk to for a while when I needed it most, and I wouldn't want anybody else to be in that position. So if you genuinely find yourself in a position where you don't have access to those resources, not because you don't have access to internet or any of that, but because your government willingly restricts it, I don't want to say like here in the US, because we have a lot of things restricted to us, especially when it comes to healthcare. We also have a lot of free resources that people aren't aware of. And so, unfortunately, most of us take it for granted. As far as healthcare goes, it's not entirely free for everybody. You know, there are those individuals who do get free basic healthcare, but that's because it comes out of the pockets of taxpayers.
Right.
But it's not open to all taxpayers unless you're unemployed.
Oh boy.
You know, but I do want you guys to know that, especially here in the U.S., there's a lot of there's a suicide hotline, but there's also a lot of mental health websites you can visit. You know, don't self-diagnose either.
Yeah.
WebMD is
Very
not your
dangerous.
doctor.
Very dangerous,
WebMD
guys.
is not your doctor. I want you guys to comprehend that. If you're having relationship issues, sometimes getting a third or fourth, second, third, or fourth piece of advice, you know, if you reach out to your friends, um, a lot of your friends, you might think that they're going to be biased because they're your friends. But honestly, when it comes to me and you tell me the situation, I will tell you how it is. Even if you get all butthurt because you don't like what you're hearing, I'm
Right.
just giving you the fucking facts. Like the way I approach everything, even with my family, people are always going to beat around the bush. They're always going to make you feel validated. But just because you want to be validated doesn't mean that your thought process is the right thought process. Which goes back to I. I'm feeling this way. I'm not getting what I deserve. It's not that you're not getting what you deserve. It's just that your expectations might overwhelm the other person. Because your expectations are the expectations you're setting because that's what you're giving. And if people can't meet your level, your standard of what you're giving, and they can't reciprocate the same back, we like to assume that they're not giving the same energy. So I think it's important to realize that there are therapists that help with not only mental health but also relationships. You know, there's marriage counseling for those of you who are married but are finding yourselves in a rocky situation. There's a lot of resources for everybody. Um, that can really benefit you. So don't feel scared to acknowledge that there might be something wrong. I think it's important to be able to acknowledge that. And the second you accept that there might be an issue with yourself or with your relationship, and you guys seek help or you seek help for yourself, it just means that you're able to really help correct and rectify what you're going to have in the future before it becomes an issue.
Amen to that. I love it. I love it. Wow, this has been. That got real. That got really real back there. Unfortunately, we are out of time. But that was. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I do want to say thank you so much, Malloe. Like, this is. This has been fantastic. Is there anything that you would like to say to everybody before you go?
Yes. And Steven knows what I'm going to say because I say it almost all the time.
I love this. Oh boy.
But in case you have not heard this today or any other day, today's the day you will hear it. And if it's the first time you're hearing it, I hope you hear these words with an open heart. You are loved. You are beautiful. You are kind. You're so important. And when you feel like you're all alone, just know there's always somebody looking out for you, even if they haven't made their presence known, even if they haven't shown you that they are there. Doesn't mean they're not. But you are loved beyond belief, even when you feel like you aren't. It's just remind yourself of that. You're amazing. I hope and wish that you succeed in what it is you want to do in life. As long as they're good things and only good things. If it's something negative and bad, boo boo, tomato
Boo.
tomato, like no. But I genuinely hope you can succeed in what it is that you want to do. And if these are words you needed to hear, I hope that they really sit well with you and that you're able to go forward with your day and hopefully your week, your month, your year, and just really like aim for what it is that you want to do. If you don't do things with your heart, if you don't go for the career you want to go for and it's something that you're passionate about, like I hope you make that change and you can
Oh,
succeed.
fantastic. I love it. Perfect. I could not have said that. I couldn't. There is no fucking way on earth I could have done that. Uh, Yay! Thank you again, Malloe. Guys, Malloe is a
course.
streamer. Let's not forget, Malloe. Why don't you plug yourself here? Why don't you tell us where we can find you? Share
So
your
you can
socials.
so you can find me on Instagram. I like Steven said, I love to cook. I love to bake. You can find me on Instagram at Malloe_B. So that's MALLOE_B. You can also find me under Twitch with that same handle. I don't stream as often as Mr. Steven here, but I do try my best to stream when I can, and I hope you guys do great, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.
I love it, guys. This has been breaking down the breakdown with me, Steven Diego, and our beautiful, amazing, wonderful friend Malloe. Remember, if you guys have any questions for Malloe, you can always email me, stevendiego@hotmail.com. If you have any questions for Malloe, just let me know. I will send them to him, and he'll get back to you personally. And I just want to say thank you, and always remember, guys, be compassionate to others all the motherfucking time, because you don't know what other people are going through. And one thing before I do go, I know that at the end there we kind of ended up veering off into families and all that other goodness of relationships. If there is one thing you didn't notice and haven't connected the dot yet, it all starts from where we grew up, and we grew up with our family. And that is the very thing that we need to kind of change if we want to move forward with a healthy relationship with other people outside of our families. So, every single word that has been said here, I hope you guys take it to heart, because Malloe and myself have gone through these things, and I know that most of you probably have gone through the same things as well, and I hope that you understood exactly what we're saying. And for those of you who've never been through this and is currently going through it now, I hope that after today you have the tools you need to make better decisions moving forward. We love you guys. I will see you all next time. Thank you again. Goodbye.